Blaze Sports is the legacy organization of the 1996 Paralympic Games. And so when those games came to Atlanta, it was the first time in the United States where you had the Olympics and the Paralympics back to back in the same city in the US. And so the Atlanta Games really changed the face of the Olympics, because now we see the Olympics and the Paralympics always together in the same host city. And Blaze, once the Paralympics left Atlanta, the legacy organization that was left for the city and the Atlanteans that got together to bring the Paralympics here saw the power of adaptive sports, and Blaze Sports was formed to stay. And our mission then was to do adaptive sports for those with physical disabilities, and 26 years later, it remains the same. Hi, my name is Dawn Shuri. I'm the Executive Director of Blaze Sports.
And I am Kelly Munkle. I am a parent. My son Braxton Munkle is 13 and an athlete for Blaze Sports. And then I'm also chair of the Parent Advisory Board.
Blaze Sports offers weekly adaptive programs for both veterans and youth athletes. And that's really important because we do special events, large scale special events, but it's really important for us to make an impact on the health, physical, career readiness, college readiness. And so we are looking at weekly adaptive sports, having our athletes in the gym every single week. And so we offer 8 veteran sports, from archery to cycling, bowling if you want more of a recreational sport, rowing, and then our youth programs, we have 4 sports. So our marquee sport is certainly wheelchair basketball. We have a great track and field program. We have adaptive tennis, and then we have swim.
My son Braxton plays basketball. Just kind of a funny background on him. He was born with spina bifida. So we very early on, just us parents, we had no idea about Blaze Sports. So we were like, okay, our kid's not gonna do sports. We're gonna make him do music and art and chess. And when he was 5, he actually got kicked out of chess club because he flipped a chessboard. So we were at Camp Crazy Legs, which is for kids with spina bifida, and he met his best friend, Ben, who is an athlete for Blaze Sports. And we immediately checked out Blaze Sports and knew instantly that Braxton was our sports kid, was our athlete of the family. So
my name is Braxton Munkle. I play for Blaze Sports. We're located in Atlanta, and it's really changed my life. I've been with Blaze Sports for about 6 years. I started with track in my first year and then moved into basketball, and I continue to play those sports to this day. Though actually the way I found out about Blaze is I went to a camp for people with spina bifida, which is a disability that I have, and I met who is now my best friend, Ben, and he introduced me to Blaze. I showed up to track one day and it just clicked. We started going every single week, then we found out about basketball and started that, and it just slowly grew. It just gives you a sense of community. It really makes you feel wanted. You get to meet people who may have the same disability or just even in a wheelchair like you are. It gives you a new family.
That's very common. Our kids are often multiple sport athletes, just like their peers. As they get older, they tend to specialize. But our basketball coaches want all of our athletes doing track for conditioning, doing anything, pushing, cycling, swim, as much as we can get them to do.
Brock's participating in Blaze has been, phenomenal for his confidence. Obviously at school, even when he does like a homeschool hybrid now, but when he was in public school, he was the only kid with a disability in the school, with a physical disability. So it was hard for him because he was different. He was the only kid like that. So coming into a weekly practice with Blaze, he's not different. He's the same as all the other kids that he's playing with. It also just evens the playing field. That was hard as a parent, knowing that he wanted to play sports, but certainly not wanting to set him up for failure, or like how do we do that? And so coming into Blaze, it's just given him this confidence because he is a great athlete. And he does have that determination and drive, and it just gives him a place to do the things that he loves.
You know, one of the biggest needs that adaptive sports have are kind of twofold. And one, that we don't own any facilities. And so we're not a high school, we don't have a gym to go practice in, we don't have our own pool. And so we rely on donated or hopefully discounted facilities where we can host everything that we talked about. So every sport that we offer, the 12 weekly sports a month, we have at a facility that we need to find. Our major events we find at a facility. Also for the athletes, you know, again, if an able-bodied person wants to go play basketball, it's the cost of the basketball and a pair of shoes, and you can probably go find a hoop in your neighborhood or your community park. Our athletes have to buy, every sport chair is customized. So they're not playing sports in their everyday chairs. They're customizing a wheelchair. A track chair is completely different. These chairs start at about $3,000 each. At BlazeSports, we never want equipment or cost to be a barrier. So we do provide equipment when we're able to through our equipment loan program. If someone comes to us without equipment, we're never going to want to say, oh, you don't have a chair, I'm sorry, you can't join. We're gonna put them in a chair. It may not initially be a custom chair, but that's the goal, is to get them in a chair playing. But we also travel a lot, and that really is on the parents. Again, I mentioned earlier that we're not playing teams down the road. We're playing teams in Alabama, in Charlotte. National championships are in Kansas. And so what the parents are asked to cover, and Kelly helps fundraise for, is our travel program for our kids.
So when we first started with Blaze, obviously, you know, they were gracious and gave Brax both a sports chair for basketball, and then he also has a track chair. There's other organizations that provide grants and things like that, but obviously there needs to be a commitment there, so you kind of have to prove yourself, which Brax has done over the past couple years. So he has a custom-made track chair that was given to us. Hopefully we'll get a custom-made basketball chair for him because he's still in his Blaze loaner. But yeah, the biggest thing, I guess, is travel, because we do travel when basketball season starts, probably like once a month. Mm-hmm. We would, you know, go to Birmingham, sometimes as far as Chicago. Now that he's on varsity, I know they've gone to Texas before. You know, it just kind of plays up. And so that is solely on us as parents to provide our hotel, flight, gas, and things like that.
We do some marquee events, which we love to have people come out. We do have lots of volunteer opportunities. People volunteer. All of our coaches, just a special shout out to them, they're all volunteers. And so everything that everybody, our track coaches, our wheelchair basketball coaches, are all volunteering their time, covering their own expenses to travel to some of these tournaments. We have major events. We host the largest wheelchair basketball tournament in the Southeast. And so that's a great event. We bring in over 100 volunteers for that. We host Peachtree Para Games, which is a 3-day Paralympic style Paralympics event, where we have multiple sports and clinics. We have over 100 volunteers that come in for that. And so, you know, we are so appreciative of people's both time, talent, and treasure. And so we love for people to just be aware of the organization. We love for people to volunteer, and we're certainly thankful for any time that we get a donation from an organization or an individual. To find out to volunteer, you just go to our website, which is blazesports.org, and there's a tab at the top that says Get Involved. And from there's lots of ways to get involved. You can just join our newsletter, which is how we send out information about our events and programs. There's a donation thing, but there's also a volunteer, and you simply fill out a form, very, very simple form, and give us your email address. And from there, you get put on our volunteer list. So anytime that we do have a major event or need a volunteer, like we have a 5K run and roll this weekend, we just blast it out to our volunteers, and then you sign up.